I did a beautiful new UU today with someone I had met whose name sounded, I sang it with her in the store, and her name sounds like New You. So I sang New You. It was just, came out really beautifully and lovely as well. That was a person who I haven't seen in 15 years, and spontaneous meeting, and was able to talk about many things. We talked about the burning. There was a march on Washington about 15 years ago or so. Forgot what they called it, but it was for men, male people, and they had a huge amount of buses being sent to Washington to go and attend this huge event. Forgot what they called it. Ronald maybe was aware of it, I don't know. And that was also, we talked about the situation of how the people are now very not open-hearted, and also all of the bad food and all the other pollutions, environmental, that they're taking in and accepting. And that was, just one of many of all of these topics. So I found myself, and singing New You, and I pointed out while we're in the store, oh, there's my car was, I backed into the store, and it's outside the window. My back license plate says God on it, which it says 6OD, but it looks like God. And I said, well, there's a license plate I was given. And this woman told me that she had interviewed Donald Trump once, sometime around this time of that event that she had mentioned, and something that she was in North Carolina, etc. And again, these are things that happened to her that she had, let's say, created happening, not out of her intentions. She wasn't attempting to do them for herself or to do some kind of agenda project. It just came up, and she's said that there was like a light around her, and people would be drawn to her and present something, and she would end up doing something here or there, whatever. In this case, like the buses, and organized the buses traveling to Washington, D.C. The group from North Carolina that she had become part of arranging became the more buses had been gathered and used than any of the other states, U.S. states. Oh, wow. So she was expressing the connection just because of being aware of it, heartfelt and so forth, and allowing for it to, and so she said that she felt like she was the world's richest woman. I thought that's cool, because recently I've had this thought about myself as the world's richest man. Not that I'm trying to speak on some kind of point of view that is comparative with anything or anyone, and I'm not at all. But that was a representation, I guess, of what Val, you were just reading to some extent. And so wasn't planning on talking about that today exactly, but there it is, because that's the current here now experience, and that's really where everything is at. I recognize that by having spontaneous musical events and other things, that opening to the creativity, if possible, and we all have these and that wholeness with us, and so I guess I'm very much thankful, Val, for having this all connected with what was being, it happens concurrently with the new you, and let's say expressions of Kevin's recently have been on this target, very much so. And so I will, hear and listen what's being said and stories told and so forth, and the idea of presenting. I got to hold on a little bit because I'm a bit full of energy, and part of that is lacking energy because I have been on antibiotics for 7 days, and I know it's not a good idea and so forth, but I didn't feel an aversion this time, and I just wanted to really clear out the infection I had, which is tooth and gums, and teeth and gums, mostly the gums actually. So it socked me out a little bit, and I finished the 7th day, and I noticed that it's also been that there are these 7-day weeks that have started from what I call the beginning of the new year, December 18th, when the sun lines up with the center of our galaxy and is the true so-called, I call it solaristic, solar art position of the sun, instead of the old astrological sun position with the earth that is used. It's a very local global system that was actually adopted by the Babylonians. The original, I think, goes back much further, and that is the one that I am, I think, would say representing in the Solaris. And so there's a very big difference in the focus of consciousness and attention. It's outside of the personal self. It's in the solar being-isness that we are, and or in the interrelations with that universally. And that is not spoken of or identified, and if it had been at all in the past, it's been obfuscated by as I said, by the Babylonians and the Roman, and the same thing with the Catholic or other churches, and what they had taken from what was the real true reality of that, the isness, being-isness of each of us, and whatever religious concepts that were created and promulgated or conditioned, that is, because, there are certain realities to them, but we can't always successfully, it's certainly very difficult to successfully integrate with it, and or to interpolate it, make it useful, truly useful. And so the conceptual language is included, English primarily. And so again, this will, like a Google spell checker, interrupt the actuality of the experience, and or be confiscated because of the terminologies, just like the word God and being on my license plate or something like that. doesn't mean any kind of religious hierarchy idea. It's an associative relevant to the time, and the nowness that is part of kind of what I'm been addressing or working towards and with, I guess. I wrote down these 7 things. They are the 7th, and the real is all that really matters, the real awareness. But I also had the other, another group. There are 7 of them. 1, 2, 3, no, 6. Yeah, 7. That doesn't mean that they're actually 7 unique things. I just wrote them down and related them. And they're learned behavior, adjustment skills, dream visions, what I called quantum fielding, which is to become, let's say, one way of presenting that is the all-isness, and being of the all-isness in the field, in the wholeness of it, like a field, quantum fielding. And quantum being the numerical physics dynamic that has to do with the universal forces and powers of the galaxies, suns, and atoms being at the 3 levels. Okay, so I also wrote new universal, solar positioning, and what I called exercises, SPEX, some whatever form of what used to be or is named as spiritual exercises, of course, is not, okay, open to all kinds of interpretations and contemplations and meditations and whatever, yada, 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 because it's not about teaching these things. To know about them is what's important. And then we move on, again, as always, back to the real awareness. And the last one, which I called the natural intelligence architectures. Interesting, you know, like when we observe the universal, there's a certain natural isness of that exists and has something to do with how planets, beings, races, nationalities, all sexes, cultures, everything else is formed and or has a natural relation somewhere or direct connected. And using just these terms, you know, to try and describe them, but it's, you know, just say what I've been getting is something about this modeling, but I'm not trying to do it in a way that is a repetitive formal structure. You know, you can only sing "New You" this one way, or something like that. As an extreme example, because yes, there of course there has to be some kind of a relation that is made real, and we have to proceed using the architectures, perhaps some of them that already exist, and so forth. But for the most part, it's really God, the word bioluminescent came into my head. Something like the luminous vibrations of things, and that each of its own, and has its own identifying mark, and so forth. And that's for each individual and each star, and so forth, as like that. And that is the whole presentation that the isness is of, I guess, to say, there it is. We are, each of us, representative of that within our own isness. And if we can find that essence or luminescence as a term, by singing New You is certainly one of the best, or the best. I don't know. We were talking joke about the insurance company named Morgan and Morgan. I was talking with the New Ewer, the new Ewer person, and we joked about this company that's got advertising all over the United States of their insurance. They are the biggest insurance company in the country or the world, maybe, and so they should be. We should hire them. And she was talking because in regards to people who said, why didn't you, she asked, why didn't you go and get get your sue for your insurance for your accident? And he said, well, the response the man gave was, I don't do that kind of thing. And maybe he's also recognizing the fact that they're consider themselves such a great company, when in fact they are probably the world's biggest thieves that I know of, or certainly one of the largest companies in the world that does this. And they're always hunting down people for accidents so that they can make money off it. And their real job is to make as much money off it as possible. Same thing has happened to me. I had a $6,000 accident attributed to me. I had to pay $350 in my own money to fix the roof of the car. It's a very minor accident. They had absolutely no injury, no problem, hardly any indentation in the car either. Big truck that my car slid under. And they got $2,000. The Mexican women that were already on the phone by the time I got to their window during the accident. They were ready to go, and they ended up getting $6,000 from the insurance company. And I paid $150 for my ticket. So there is the total misdistribution of energy that exists in this universe, in this planetary system, and how we're viewing it. With that, I think I'll say thank you, Val. Really appreciate it.
Oh, Peter?
I'll new you.
Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Right.